So here we'll be showcasing the best Build-a-brella combos in order, starting with number 7, which is a Junkyard themed glider. Of course, if you are new here and want to learn the best Fortnite combos, how to get the newest items quickly, and how to improve at all sorts of Fortnite things, then be sure to subscribe with notifications so you don't miss out on anything, and help me hit my dream of 30,000 subscribers. Honestly, that would help me out a ton. I'm gonna be honest, this was probably the least creative for me, the least unoriginal, because simply, it almost felt like Epic Games really gave it to you, because hear me out. So if you're trying to make a glider themed after things you'd find in a junkyard, of course you're going to have an old and used tire. Then of course a bucket like right up here. This shaft looks like it's made out of some kind of garbage, I'm not entirely sure what it is. Then we have an old broken clock, and putting that all together, we add a gray and black theme to it, which of course gives it that overall junkyard feel. To be honest, it feels like all these things intentionally go together on part of Epic Games. Now it does come to coloring, as I mentioned I gave it that of course gray feel. It did have the trail color be this brown right over here, because brown's kind of the color of gunk or dirt. I also thought it looked amazing with this gray trail effects glider. To make it look a little bit less gunky, I'd probably do that myself. Then of course when it comes to the colors of this canopy over here, you may wonder where exactly does the color stand out. Well, apparently it's actually this part right up here, if you can see. So when I edit the primary color, I'm actually changing, this little thing right in here. So to contrast with this gray right over here, I made it a bit of a lighter gray, kind of like this. It's a little hard to see. And then of course I made the secondary color a black, because it's this inner part right over here, if you can see. So I thought that gave it a nice little contrast down in the center. Then of course I had the same gray feel for the topper, bottom cap color, and of course the shaft. But really putting all that together, this glider is pretty simple, but it does look awfully nice. So next we have the number 6 glider, which is the Futuristic glider. Now this I think looks pretty cool with this nice little futuristic top. I was really looking for things to do with it because I just love how clean it is. You've got this metal coming around here, and of course this bottom canopy over here. Now of course to make sure it had that great feel, I made its primary color black, which is this part you can see right over here, as you can see if I change the color. I also think that blue does look really nice, so if you want to use blue, definitely be sure to do that. For the secondary color, white contrast is amazing with the black or even blue, so I went with a light pitched white right over here. Then of course, same thing for the topper up here. I used the pointer topper over here because I just thought it looked very clean, very sleek, very nice. It is in fact the default topper, but I think that's okay. And I gave it a nice also kind of light and gray feel to make sure it blends in with the rest of the glider. I think that the darker gray kind of blends in a little bit better than if it were white. Then after that, I have once again the telescope themed shaft, or whatever you want to call it, simply because I thought that this blended in once again pretty well with the rest of it. I thought it was a really clean and sleek design. Same thing again with the default bottom cap, ball theme kind of thing, right over here. Then of course I gave this a nice silvery theme, as you can see right over here. And then of course I made the bottom cap color kind of black to make it contrast with the silver of the shaft color. And finally, the trailhawk's color is a nice gray right over here, because I really think it leaves behind the general feel that this glider really puts off with its mostly light and dark gray colors. But overall, regardless of what colors you decide to use, I think that this glider really gives off an amazing futuristic feel. So now we have glider number 5, which is the pink themed glider. This is another glider that I think actually looks really cool, partly because I kinda stole it. I mean, I didn't steal it, I took it from the promo of Epic Games. They had this nice little pink glider over here, and I thought that we're using a lot of gray and black gliders. We really gotta make something with more vibrant colors. I think that remaking the one from the promo would be the best solution to that. Now starting the topper, shaft, canopy, bottom cap are all kind of stolen from that image. I tried making something different, but I couldn't have done a better job than Epic Games on this. I don't like the flowery type feel this topper kind of gives off. This canopy then is really cool, and there are quite a few uses for it too. I thought it also gave off the kind of flower type feel. Then of course I love the simple design for the shaft, so I thought it went perfect with everything. Then of course this bottom cap made a really cool end to the shaft. In terms of the coloring, I tried my best to give it a really vibrant colored pink. So for the top right over here, I didn't use this pink right over here because if you see, once again, not that saturated. I actually went over here, turned the brightness up, saturation up, and I went for about a 314 right over here on the hue to give it this nice little vibrant pink feel. Then of course I went for a little bit less of a saturated feel with the primary color, which is actually the rim of this glider, as you can see when I change the colors. Now this purple does look pretty cool, so you can use it if you want. Now going down to the shaft and bottom cap color, I currently have this purple feel over here that kind of looks a little bit rusty too. Then of course I did the same color for the bottom cap right over here. Then of course, finally, it doesn't really matter what you use. As a trail effects color, I used a bit of a darkish, brightish purple right over here. But regardless, pink and purple both equally to kind of give off that same bright colored, vibrant feel that we get from this glider. So if you do like our number 5 glider here, be sure to use it for yourself. So following, we have the number 4 glider, which is a matter of fact, the Durr Burger glider. Now for this, once again, Epic Games kind of gave it to us with a Durr Burger topper. I mean, when you have a topper like this Durr Burger, you've got no choice but to make a glider based off of it, of course, with the Durr Burger themed colors. In terms of the canopy, you don't need to use this canopy if you don't want to. I know it looks kind of ugly, I guess. I'm not sure what the best way to describe it. But the half circle feel to it isn't personally my favorite, but though it is important because it looks a lot like a bun, making it the perfect canopy for this glider. And then of course, in terms of the bottom cap, we've got to have the spatula. I mean, we've got no choice with that. Now, in terms of the colors for this, we have to have this, of course, Durr Burger themed colors, or else it wouldn't look right. In terms of the secondary color, you can either do yellow or red. I got this idea from, of course, the cheese and tomato you can see in this Durr Burger. It's got to be either yellow or red, simply because that is the colors of a Durr Burger. Then, of course, after that, in terms of the shaft color, I made it gray, because while you may not have noticed it from this angle, right below the glider, we have this gray feel, almost like a grill, of course, further emphasizing the fact that this canopy was made for it. And of course, same thing for the spatula to make it all blend together. So then finally, the trail effects color we have as brown. Of course, it could be red or it could be yellow, but I think the brown does the best job at really capturing the feel that this glider really gives off when in use. But just like that, putting that all together, we have our Durr Burger themed glider. So now we are in the top 3 with our number 3 glider, which is one of my personal favorites, of course, because it's the top 3, but this is the underwater themed glider. Now, can I just say, this looks amazing, partially because, once again, Epic Games partially gave it to us. Starting with the topper right up here, I mean, this is clearly a kind of fishing themed topper, meaning that Epic Games wants to do something kind of like that with this glider. Then after that, for the canopy, we have this old kind of rusty captain's wheel, which seems like you may have found it like underwater after some kind of shipwreck. Then after that, when it comes to the shaft right over here, once again, I'm going to be honest, I am using this telescope theme shaft way too much. I didn't even realize it until I went to record this video, but I use it way too much because once again, it's just so simple because it really gives that kind of ship feel with the telescope, might be on a ship or something. But then to pair with that, we have the bottom cap, which is once again a little bit like a telescope. Instead, it almost looks like something that you might use on a submarine to kind of peek out of the water, to peek what's into the water, something like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but really that part of this makes a perfect combination. Then of course we had no choice but to go with the brown and green theme for the glider. Now one thing you may notice is this green right over here, you're actually not able to change it with the primary nor the secondary color, because the primary color changes the color of the wheel and everything. And of course, this looks pretty nice. Then after that, our secondary color, which actually kind of control the look to the seaweed, as I mentioned before. Instead, it controls this part actually right in here, surprisingly, for the wheel. But to make it blend with the seaweed, I gave it actually an older kind of green feel. If you look, I went with the color green over here, but I turned the saturation and the brightness down a tremendous amount to make it really blend in with the quite unsaturated seaweed we see right over on the wheel. And of course, in terms of the topper, I really didn't have much of a choice but to make it red. There wasn't very many colors I could do. I was thinking about making it kind of blue or yellow, but the color red really goes best with a kind of fishing theme. Then finally, a telescope right over here has to have this brownish bronze, relatively old and rusty-ish, shiny-ish feel. I don't know if that makes any sense, to really make it look like it's been underwater for some amount of time, or at least stick with the general theme of the glider. And then of course, the bottom cap color has to be the same color as the shaft. Then finally, our trail effects color, I made it once again a partially unsaturated green to really give off the feel that it has been covered in kind of seaweed and other kinds of green things underwater for quite a fair amount of time. But whatever you choose to do for this glider, personally I gotta say it's one of my favorites. I love how it all comes together. So now we have our number 2 glider, which once again is personal favorite because it is number 2, but it is our quack or duck themed glider. Now of course this whole glider was based off of this exceptional topper that we really had no choice but to use. It is just so awesome and a little crazy, a little wacky in some ways if I may say, so I kind of based the whole glider off of that. Then after that we have our canopy, which is our life preserver, which I thought just went perfect with the duck at the top, and of course I kind of went with the general general life preserver in duck themed colors of yellow and then red and white. I may just point out the yellow for this glider, it's a little unsaturated again. I mean, it looks a little bit more realistic like a duck, but this is Fortnite. We're not looking for realistic. We're looking for crazy and wacky and oversaturated, if I may say. So I turned the saturation on the max, brightness on the max like I always do to give it that really, vibrant yellow feel that really pops compared to the rest of the glider. Then of course, same exact thing for the canopy over here. This red just doesn't just do it. I mean, it's more realistic, sure, but this is Fortnite, we don't want realistic. We're going hue on the max, saturation on the max, and of course a brightness on the max to give it this crazy little feel. Then when it comes to our shaft, I thought that once again this really gave off the crazy kind of nonsensical feel to it. I still don't know what this thing is, but it really kind of pops, sticks out, kind of same bulky feel with the rest of the glider, so I thought it would be the perfect shaft to use for it. Then same thing for this bottom cap right over here, except I thought it'd be a little bit more simple, a little bit more round, just kind of as the default thing. It looked pretty cool. I didn't think anything else really popped out in the same way that this bottom cap does. And then finally, our Trailflex color, I'll give it white because you have this white part of the light preserver right over here. We have these like silverish kind of things on the side, and of course you could make it red, but it just looks kind of like blood, to be honest. And I mean, you don't want blood for a duck glider, that doesn't make any sense, so white it is for this part of the glider. But anyway, this is a personal favorite glider. I just think it looks so cool together, and to be honest, if it wasn't for number 1, I'd probably be using this glider on the list. So now we have our number 1 glider, which is the Crystal Gem glider, which looking back, this wasn't intentional, but its name is quite similar to the show Steven Universe. Anyway, like any masterpiece, this glider is relatively simple. I just based it off of the gem themed topper, then of course canopy, shaft, and of course bottom cap that Epic Games did kind of give us. As you can see, they all have this quite similar gem themed look, so with that, I did create this glider. Nearly what the originality came down to was figuring out what color to make it look. So what I did is I based this glider off of the look of the gemstone amethyst, once again the parallel of the show, not intentional, by giving it this kind of purple themed look. Now starting with the canopy primary color right over here. Now this was actually the easiest color to capture, considering the dark purple feel was actually given to us. Now the challenge really comes in when it comes to the canopy secondary color. So now this is essentially the gemstones that you can see on the glider. The best I could do was this pink color you can see right over here, that while it does contrast, honestly I wish I could turn the saturation up even more. You can probably tell that I really like saturation from the thumbnail of this video. Really gives that eye-catchy popping look to the glider. Now the rest of the glider is just recreating those colors that I just captured from before. Then finally, with the Trailflex color, what I did just as a simple pinkish purple that really gives off the overall feel of this glider. Whether you use purple, blue, green, yellow, indigo, violet, whatever different colors you want to use for this canopy, I really think that blue or any of these other colors look phenomenal. Purple is my personal favorite, but whatever you do, this glider is incredible and is most likely the glider that I will be using. Anyway, if you like these styles and want more videos like this, teaching you what the best Fortnite combos, how to get the newest items quickly, and how to improve it also the Fortnite things, then be sure to subscribe with notifications so you don't miss out on anything, and help me get to my dream of 30,000 subscribers. Honestly, that would help me out a ton by clicking here. And then click here to learn how to complete the challenges and unlock these styles incredibly fast in Fortnite. If you want to support me, be sure to use code STARMANGER and buy my merchandise by clicking here. But that's all I have for now, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.